work in business English, you need collocations. Collocations, for those of you who don't know, are words that commonly go together, and it's essential to learn collocations or words that collocate with other words to be clear, professional, and advanced in business English. In this little lesson, we're going to dive into 50 essential business English collocations. Make sure you've mastered them. I'll give you lots of examples. At the end of the video, I'll give you a quiz to make sure you've locked in learning. Let's get started. Okay, our first category here is decision making and strategy. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through 7 key collocations in relation to decision making and strategy. The first one is make a decision. You're probably reading this saying, well, I know that. Yes, but in fluent speech, in quick conversations at work, a lot of students will make the mistake saying, take a decision or do a decision. These are incorrect. It's make a decision. We need to make a decision on what we're going to do with the client B, for example. Next one here is set priorities. Now, you understand set. This means to make something locked in, concrete, set something in your schedule, make something firm. And priorities, you understand priorities, but we don't really say in English to make priorities or do priorities or list priorities. No, we set priorities, which means we identify our priorities and we're going to make them clear. We're going to make them concrete. We're going to write them down. We're going to understand them completely. They're going to be concrete priorities. So we need to set our priorities for the next launch. So what are our priorities? We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to rank them. You're going to identify them, and you're going to list them and share them with people. This is set priorities. Next one is define objectives. This is kind of similar. So objectives are something you want to do and reach. And to define something means you're going to explain it and understand it in detail. So we need to set priorities for the next launch, and we need to define our objectives for the next launch. So priorities are we need to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you're going to rank and list them. Define objectives is within those priorities, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are our objectives. We're going to define them. What does each one entail? What is each one made from? And that's what it means to define objectives. Next one here is develop a strategy. Now, develop, develop. Strategy, strategy. But we don't do a strategy. We don't make a strategy. We develop a strategy. This means we're going to make it grow, make from nothing. We're going to build something and develop a strategy. This is the collocation, not make and not do. The next 2 are pretty straightforward: long-term goals, short-term goals. However, I have heard students mix these up and make mistakes with them. If you're interviewing, if you're networking, if you're in a planning meeting, you need to know long-term goals and short-term goals. That's your collocation. And the last one here in this list is strategic planning. Of course, we have strategy and we have plan, but strategic planning is planning at work with a high level of strategy. You're being very, very careful. You're not wasting time. You're being very efficient and using all your resources correctly. This is strategic planning. Okay, the next category here I have is for meetings and communication. The first one here is hold a meeting. Of course, you can have a meeting, you can attend a meeting, but if you hold a meeting, you are leading the meeting. You are organizing the meeting. So we need to hold a meeting next week to discuss client B. We need to hold a meeting today. Can we hold a meeting this afternoon? So hold a meeting means you're going to host or chair. Chair is a verb when it comes to meetings, or you're going to organize a meeting. Hold a meeting, you're going to be leading the meeting or hosting a meeting. Hold a meeting. It's a fantastic collocation. Next one is schedule a meeting. Now, this seems pretty straightforward, but again, I have heard a lot of students and a lot of ESL professionals use the wrong collocation here. So you want to schedule a meeting. You can say arrange a meeting, but schedule a meeting means it's going to be into our schedule. I've agreed with you, you've agreed with me, and we've all agreed on the time and day for our meeting. So let's schedule a meeting for next week. Can we schedule a follow-up, please? So schedule a meeting means we're going to lock in the time and date for the next meeting. Next one here is reach an agreement. Now, an agreement means I agree with you, you agree with me, and we shake on it. This is an agreement. But reach means you've got to your destination. And this is what it means to reach an agreement. It means you have an agreement with someone, but it took some time. It was a journey to get there. So we have not yet reached an agreement with the client on the terms of the contract. Hopefully, we'll reach an agreement by the end of the week, which means through the work we're doing, it's a journey. Like you reach your destination when you're traveling, you reach an agreement. Next one here is raise a concern. So if you're in a meeting and you need to give your feedback, you need to give your 2 cents. 2 cents means opinion. If you need to give your feedback on something or 2 cents, and you do see some issues, you do see some concerns with something people are talking about, you say, I need to raise a concern. Or does anyone here need to raise any concerns about the project that we're launching? I'd like to raise a concern. I think the timeline is too tight. So to raise a concern, raise means to bring up, and a concern, this is something that troubles you that you're not totally comfortable with or confident with. That's raise a concern. And again, for all of these, I will give you a quiz at the end of the video, and I will give you a PDF that you can download with all the definitions and example sentences of each of these, because this is a lot of vocabulary. Okay, we have 3 more to go in this category here. And the next one is clarify expectations. So expectations is what I expect from something. And of course, you can meet expectations, you can exceed expectations, and you can fail to meet expectations. But if you clarify expectations, this is a little bit different. It means you're going to clarify, you're going to give in detail, you're going to define what you expect of someone or something. So let's clarify our expectations for working with this new supplier. So not just working with a new supplier, but hello, new supplier, we expect this of you. Can you do this? Yes. Now, by saying clarify expectations, now you have clearly communicated what expectations you have. This is key. Next one here is address an issue. So, of course, address as in where you live and where you work, but address can also mean a verb. And here, address an issue means you're going to talk about an issue, deal with an issue. So, I have something important I'd like to address in the meeting today. I want to address this issue. Issue is a nice way of saying problem in business English. Problem's a negative word, so we try to avoid using negative words in business English and all of English, actually. But to address an issue means we need to talk about a problem, but address an issue is what we say. And the last one here is to follow up on something. This is a phrasal verb, but it's a really common collocation and bit of vocabulary for English and business English. Let's follow up on project B, which means we're going to touch base with someone. It's another phrasal verb. We're going to find out what someone's doing on something, what the progress is, and that's to follow up. Okay, next one is performance and results. This is key when talking about your team or talking about yourself and how you perform and the results you can achieve in your work. So the first one here is meet a deadline. Of course, we know deadline, but you don't want to say I can do a deadline. No, you meet a deadline. The deadline's here, and you are going to finish the work, finish the task given to you before the deadline. You have met a deadline. So we need to meet the deadlines on this project. There's no flexibility, which means you have to deliver your results. You have to deliver what you're working on at the deadline, before the deadline. And that means you've met a deadline. It's key collocation for business English. Next one is achieve results. Now, this looks pretty straightforward, but you don't make results. You don't do results. In English, we collocate achieve results together because achieve means it's an achievement. You've worked hard for these results. So when you say achieve results, you're not saying these results were easy or they were very doable or they were very basic. No, we've achieved results through our hard work, through our skill, through our experience. Very powerful collocation here. Next one here is exceed expectations. Now, I did expectations in the previous little bit here about defining expectations. This is what I expect of you. Now, if someone meets your expectations, they do exactly what you expect of them. Or if a product or a company meets your expectations, they do exactly what you expected. If a person, a product, a supplier, anything goes beyond what you expected, it exceeded your expectations. So to exceed expectations is to deliver more than is expected of you. So we need someone who's going to exceed our expectations, or wow, this supplier really exceeded our expectations. It's a beautiful one. The next one here is measure performance. So just like you'd have a ruler to measure something, This is analytics. This is data. This is someone's performance or a product's performance or sales performance. And through numbers, through data, through analytics, we can measure performance. We understand through KPIs. We can understand how someone's doing, how they are performing. Measure performance could be, it just means you're analyzing the performance of someone or something or a department. It doesn't mean they're doing good or they're doing bad. It just means you're in the process of understanding their performance. You're measuring performance. The next one here is deliver results. This is so powerful if you are interviewing, if you are selling a product to someone and you want to talk about you're really going to make a difference and what you're doing is going to change their work. It's going to make their life easier, or you're going to be a candidate for a position you're applying for, and you can say, listen, I can deliver results, which means from me, I'm coming to your door, not with a box of pizza. I'm coming to your door with results. I'm going to constantly be producing results. I will deliver results. So this is good if you are selling, for example, an app to a company saying, listen, with this app, we will be delivering results. This app will deliver results, which means they're not paying for nothing. Results will come right to the door, just like they ordered pizza. You deliver results. And the last one here is key metrics. Now, metrics is analytics. This is how you measure something. So key metrics, KPIs, for example, is how something's measured. Okay, next category here is finance and numbers. Well, business is all about numbers and finance. So these are key collocations. The first one here is cut costs. Now, this means reducing your expenses, reducing what you're spending to cut costs. We need to cut costs in this department. We're losing money. We don't have much of a budget this year for shipping. We need to cut shipping costs. So to cut costs means reducing what you're spending. Next one is increase revenue. And you're probably looking at this going, yeah, this is obvious. I know this one. However, in speech, in fluency, in meetings, sometimes collocations can escape you. So it's really good to review these and practice these so they just run off your tongue and come out of your mouth when you want to say them. So we need to increase revenue by 2% next quarter. Or if you're selling a product or service, our service will help increase your revenue, will help increase revenue in this department. It's fantastic. Next one is manage a budget. Just like you can manage a team, if you manage a budget, you are aware of all the numbers coming in and all the numbers going out. To manage a budget is key. This is a beautiful collocation because it shows that you're able to have an eye on and keep control of numbers of a budget coming in and out. Next one is reduce expenses. Very similar to cut costs. Cut costs is a bit more straightforward, like scissors. We're going to cut a large amount. Reduce expenses is not usually talking about an exact number. It's more like overall plan, whereas cut costs can be a bigger reduction or an actual amount that you'd use. Next one here is a financial forecast. Just like a forecast for sales or forecast for the weather, a financial forecast is what you see in the future of what's coming in and what's going out. And the very last one is profit margin. A profit margin, if you work in sales or you're selling a service, and a profit margin is what profit your company gets after expenses. So we sell something for this much, our expenses on this product for all the resources, everything included, including manufacturing or delivering the service, is this much. And whatever the leftover is, that's your profit margin. Okay, next category is projects and operations. First, we have manage a project. So this means you're not just working on a project, you're not just overseeing a project, you're managing it. You know who's working on what resources are being allocated, what budget is happening, what the timeline is, what the scope of the work is. If you manage a project, you are in control of it. You have a bird's eye view and you're watching it like a puzzle and a game and making sure all the pieces work together efficiently. This is essential to manage a project. Next one is allocate resources. Now, resources in business English could be people. It could be space, it could be equipment, and it definitely could be money. So resources really depends on what you're saying. So if you allocate resources to something, it could be you put, and allocate means to put or to distribute, to decide something goes here or something goes here and here and here. So to allocate resources is we need to allocate resources for this next project. That could be people working on the project. It could be money put towards the project. It could be space or equipment to allocate resources. Next one is to launch a project or a product. Now think about a rocket. A rocket is on the ground and then it's launched and it goes into space. So just like in business English, of course you could release a product. Of course you could start a project. It's pretty basic. But if you say launch a product or launch a project, it means there's so much energy, just like the fire and fuel when you launch a rocket. There's so much energy and involvement and resources put into something to really make something leave the ground and be a success and hit sky high. So launch a project or launch a product is key collocation in business English. Next one is meet requirements. Just like we had expectations, these are my expectations and my expectations are met or exceeded. Requirements are a little bit lower than expectations, but they are fundamental. If there's no requirements met, something can't be done. So it's essential that we meet the requirements of our contract, the legal requirements, the requirements of the shipping department. Whatever the case may be, these are the minimum that's required to do something. So we need to meet requirements. Next one is operational efficiency. Efficiency means you're not wasting time, effort, or resources. You're hitting your result by not wasting any resources. So operational efficiency means you operate like a well-oiled machine. You're not wasting time. Things don't take longer than they should. Spending is not bigger than it should be. And everyone is used in the most efficient way, and products and departments are working beautifully. This is operational efficiency. And the last one is production delays. Now, if you're producing something and there's a delay, and this does happen very often, a production delay is just a delay because of production. Okay, next one here is problems and solutions. And you'll notice I don't use problem in any of these collocations. A problem is a negative word. We avoid using negative words in business English as much as possible. So problems and solutions. First one is identify risks. So identify means you go, oh, that's a risk. That's a risk. You clearly see and understand and notice a risk involved. So identify risks is you're going to be in a planning meeting saying, listen, we need to identify risks working in this location. We need to identify risks of expanding our budget. Let's identify the risks of working with a supplier. So you're going to look at something very objectively and go, oh, that could be a problem. That could be a problem. That could be a problem. So identify risks, really, really essential business English collocation here. Next one is resolve an issue. Resolve and solve are very common and very similar and often quite interchangeable. But if you resolve an issue, it just means not only have you solved it, it's completely fixed and you move on from it. So to resolve an issue, which means to solve a problem, that's all it means. But to resolve an issue is so much more stronger. It's a much nicer way of saying to solve a problem. You resolve an issue. And again, it's not just solved, it's resolved. It's solved and then it's packed away, no longer a problem. And again, you don't want to say problem in English, issue. So you resolve an issue. Next one is take action. And take action is key because take action means I see something that happens. There's a problem out here. Okay, we're going to take action, which means we're going to deal with something. We're going to deal with something negative, a problem, an issue. So we need to take action on the client. They're behind on their invoicing. Let's take action on our expenditures. We're spending too much money on this certain department or project. So if you take action, it means, okay, I'm sitting up from my chair and I'm going towards that problem and I'm going to resolve that issue. So take action on something is a very powerful business English collocation. Next one is implement changes. So to implement means to roll out, to start using something, and change is change. So we've identified that we need to change something in our department. Okay, now we're going to implement those changes. We're going to start using the changes that we've developed. So to implement change or implement changes is you've developed a new idea. Now you're going to roll it out. You're going to start working with it. You're going to start using it. So to implement means you're actually working with something that you've planned or created. And the last one here is mitigate risk. And again, once you identify a risk, that could be a problem. Well, now you've identified your risk. Now you want to mitigate it. And mitigate means you're going to lessen the strength of the risk. You're going to lessen what the negative consequences come from a certain risk. So let's mitigate the risks of working with client B. We know the risks, we've identified them. Let's soften them a little bit. Okay, next category here is people and management. So the first one I have is build relationships. Now, you don't do relationships, you don't make relationships. You build them because build is such a strong word in business English. From nothing, you're building something strong, like a structure, like a building. So we want to build relationships in this industry. Let's go to the conference and build some relationships. So you're not just going, here's my card, here are my details. No, you're going to build something strong, something concrete that can be built on. So to build means to make a relationship strong and structural. Next one here is manage expectations. So we had expectations quite a few times in this video. We had define expectations. We had exceed expectations. Now, this is to manage expectations. If my expectations are here, but I'm not getting what I want, no one can deliver what I want, none of my expectations are being met, well, I now need to manage my expectations, which means I need to bring them down to what's actually real and what's actually connected to reality in my industry. So this means my expectations are too high. So if you're in a networking event, or you're in a brainstorming session, or you're trying to sell something to someone, and someone goes, oh, I need you to do this. Well, let's manage your expectations a little bit. Our product can do this. So it just means to bring expectations down, be a bit more logical with your expectations. Next one is to provide feedback. Now you can give feedback, but if you provide feedback, you're giving it really kind of on a platter. So I'd like to provide some feedback from this. Give feedback could just be, this is a good project. I didn't really like your delivery. You need to work on this. To give feedback can be very small. To provide feedback is usually a larger package of feedback. So let's provide some feedback to the client. I'd like to provide some feedback to you on the last, quarter that you've worked here. Or if you're interviewing, and you're asking, they say, do you have any questions for us? Yes. How do you provide feedback? Well, every quarter we provide feedback to our employees. So it's not just a 1, 2, 3 word comment or sentences. It's just you're providing feedback. It's going to be quite whole, and it's going to include a lot of information. Next one is take responsibility. Again, this probably looks like a very basic one, but to take responsibility means you're accountable for something. So I take responsibility for the tasks which I'm given. I'll take responsibilities for my mistakes. I'll take responsibilities for my team, meaning I'm held accountable. It's my responsibility, and I take that. Last one here is to delegate tasks. Now, to delegate means to hand out things. So if you're a team lead or a manager or a VP or a C-level, you're not going to be doing all the work yourself. No one has that time. So you're going to be delegating tasks, which means handing out tasks to the relevant people. Okay, 2 more categories to go. Then I'll give you your quiz to make sure you've locked in learning. This category talks about client and business relationships. So the first one here is client expectations. I've done quite a few collocations in this video with expectations. This is what people expect from someone or something. And your client expectations are what your client expects from you, from your company, from your department, or from your product. So what are the client expectations? Well, the client expectations are this, 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 this. There you go. Next one is customer satisfaction. This is very straightforward. I'm sure you understand this, but we don't say the satisfaction of the customer. We don't say customer happiness or customer enjoyability, or we don't say anything else. We say customer satisfaction. It means the customer is satisfied. The customer is happy. We don't say that. Customer satisfaction is important to us. We need to achieve customer satisfaction, which means our customers are satisfied. Next one is negotiate terms. Now, terms are what is in a contract. This is resources. This is money. This is scope. This is timelines. And to negotiate means to discuss, to make sure the person you're signing a contract with, they're on the same page. On the same page means in agreement. So make sure they're on the same page. We need to negotiate terms of the contract. Let's negotiate the terms next week. So you set your terms in the contract: money, remuneration, timeline, resources, scope, whatever the case may be. That's negotiate terms, all the details in a contract. Next one here is close a deal. Now, if you work in sales, you know this collocation. Close a deal means you're trying to sell a product or service. The person you're selling to says yes. They signed the contract, you've closed the deal. So if you work in sales, this is the collocation you need. If you're interviewing, I'm very good at closing deals. What I do well is I can close a deal. I closed 5 deals in the last quarter with my company worth 50,000 euros. So to close a deal means you've sold something successfully, because it's not just a handshake promise. It's not, oh, we'll get back to you, we're interested. No, they've signed, they've ordered. That's what it means to close a deal. And the very last one here is a long-term partnership. Partnership means I want to work with you. You're going to work with me. It's going to be a win-win situation over the long term. So a long-term partnership means let's work together over the long term, and it's a partnership. I will help you. You will help me. Through our business relation, we will help each other. Okay, you've done it. This is the very last category. I only have 3 for you here. So this is collocations for change and development. The first one here is adapt to change. This is key if you're interviewing, saying I'm able to adapt to change. It means this is the way things are done. Something happened, and the scope of my job, the scope of the project, something happened. There's a change, and I can adapt to it. It's not going to be, oh, I don't like change. I don't know what to do. I can't do this. Okay, I'm flexible. I can change. I can adapt to whatever changes happen in business. If you're interviewing, this is one of the key collocations for an interview: adapt to change. Next one is drive growth. Now, if you're driving a car, if you drive growth, you are responsible for that growth. You are hoping to get that growth. This is your only focus. You're a driver and you're driving growth. So we need to drive growth in this market, which just means we need to have our hands on the wheels. We need to be the ones initiating and producing this growth and making sure something's growing to drive growth. And the last one here is continuous improvement. So this means improvement. To improve something is continuous. We're never going to be happy with how something is. Something's really good. Okay, how can we make it better? We've made it better. Okay, how can we make it better? We're going to make it better. This is continuous improvement. Again, if you're interviewing, this is fantastic. I'm always focused on continuous improvement, meaning I'm never happy with just where I am or what I'm doing. I want to get better in my job. I want to get better in my role. Same thing if you're already working for a company and you're working with teams, and let's focus on continuous improvement. Okay, always, what can we do better? How can we do things better? How can we have better results? Okay, we've done it. We've gone through 50 essential business English collocations. Hopefully, you've learned something new today. And through practice and repetition, and the quiz we've had, and the PDF download, you'll be able to lock in learning and use these collocations easily every day in business English. Thank you so much for joining me.